الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the heavens and the world, to whom we belong and to whom we shall return. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So, for today's topic, I want to deviate from something I normally do. I've been thinking a lot about how we, with the way how Islam is typically, taught and spread. Oftentimes, especially in this day and age, many people are taught to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is important. We must fear our Creator no matter what. Otherwise, we have no purpose. But we fear Allah too much, to the point where a lot of us get depressed and we feel no hope. We think we're going to go to hell for the sins that we commit. We feel like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not care about us. We're going to hell and that's it. However, I used to feel the same way too. I won't lie. But after seeing the way how Islam, the way how we could practice Islam, as well as the fact that seeing many things on my social media feeds, quotes, pieces of knowledge, so on and so forth, it really gave me hope. And so this is what I wanted my khutbah today to be about. Having hope in our faith and having hope with our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I wanted to talk about why we shouldn't despair with our faith and how we can become better Muslims. And I'll break this down into 3 points. I first want to talk about how we can always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how it's never late, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears us and knows about us and will forgive us, and some good things that we can do to further improve our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as improve our relationship with our own faith. And inshallah, by the end of this khutbah, I hope that you feel more hope and you feel more confidence and you feel more steadfast in your faith with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, I would like to move on to my first point, which is how we can always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, a common phrase that I hear before every single prayer is pray this prayer as if it is your last. And what this basically means is that, as we all know as Muslims, we don't know what is guaranteed for us. We don't know what the future will hold. We don't know if we're going to live to the next day. Heck, we don't even know if we're going to live to the next minute. And that is why it's always important for us that every single moment that we live through is under the submission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worshiping Him. Because who knows what will happen in the future. However, one thing that I was thinking about when hearing this quote is that when I hear it, sometimes I feel like, I prayed incorrectly so much in the past. I've made so many mistakes in the past. But this quote isn't talking about the past. It's talking about right now. What you can do right now. Tomorrow isn't promised, that is true. But that doesn't mean you can't make a change today. That doesn't mean you can't worship Allah right now in this moment. And don't ever think that because of your past, and because you've sinned and you've made mistakes, that you cannot be a good Muslim, you cannot be a better Muslim, you cannot be a better servant to Allah today. I want to share one story real quick that one brother in this masjid has shared to me, as well as a lot of people in this masjid, and it really is a heart-touching story. I will paraphrase it though, because I can't mention the whole thing in the span of these 15 minutes. But the story involves this one woman who was I believe a prostitute of some sort, or someone who sold her body and used her body against the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She lived her whole life of sin. And people in the community she was, and they would talk down upon her, saying, this woman is this, is that, is everything. But she lived next to these students who would be studying the Quran and reading it daily. And one time she heard these students, and she was very intrigued by them. And so she decided to ask them more about Islam, more about the Quran, and it touched her heart. This was around the time of Ramadan. So she started going to the masjid and she decided to turn her whole life around. She went to the masjid every single day for Tarawih, and she'd be crying loudly, begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, if you accept me, please take me. Oh Allah, if you accept me, please take me." On the 27th night of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took her back. It is such a powerful story because when you really think about it, this woman lived for how many years? And in all of those years, she committed so much sin. She lived her entire life to it. And the people around her just looked down upon her. No one would have thought that she was someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would accept. But in her last 27 days of being alive, she made the change, she made the effort, and she turned a lot back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For every step that we take towards Him, He runs towards us. Oh, Azza wa Jal. And that's just so beautiful. And the world looked down upon this woman, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't. Just reiterating my point. So when we look at our past sins, we shouldn't despair. We made mistakes. It's fine. All of us made mistakes. I made mistakes right here. It's normal. But mistakes are in the past. What you got to do more moving forward and what you got to do now is what you can control. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at. I want to move on to my second point, which is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there for you, no matter what. One thing that I realized when talking to some of my friends who are very knowledgeable is that, in a way, our hearts, our qalb, is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's our sort of connection to Him in many ways. Alhamdulillah, I was blessed this past April. And when I was there, I was dealing with a lot of, personal stuff, mental health, school, all of these things were just on my mind, clouded. As soon as I stepped foot in the haram and I saw the Kaaba, it all just went away, and I felt an immense amount of heaviness in my heart. Everything from the outside world just vanished, disappeared, and all I could feel was my connection to my Creator. It was a beautiful feeling. And inshallah, everyone here will be able to visit the haram one day. It's an amazing experience. Our hearts are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, our hearts beat. When you look at the way how your heart beats, you just listen carefully. The way how it beats is very similar to the way how our lips form when we say the word Allah. Like, think about it and listen to it. When you say Allah, it is very similar to the way how your heart beats. In fact, there's a form of dhikr about it, called dhikr qalbi, but that's for another time. But the point is that when we count our heartbeat, in a way our heart is beating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's really beautiful. But more importantly, when we do good, our hearts feel happy, our hearts feel well. And when we sin, our hearts feel heavy. If you miss Fajr one day, your heart feels heavy about it. Like, dang, I missed Fajr. I should have woken up. You did. Our heart is kind of like I said, our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way, if you really think about it. And that one wants to make me move to my next point, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven us. When we sin, when we do things we're not supposed to do, or when we don't do things that we are supposed to do, our heart feels heavy, and our heart, sinks in a way, giving us this sort of feeling of depression that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not happy with me, I'm not a good Muslim. But the fact that we feel this pain and we make an effort to change it is a signal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving us. I want to bring up a point that sin is not a modern phenomenon. We think that in this day and age, of course, while it has been a lot more, easily accessible, it's much more easy to do and it's much more in greater variance. Sin is not a modern phenomenon. The Sahaba, some of the greatest people to ever exist, had suffered similar problems to the things that we have. There were alcohol or murderers when the Sahaba, abusers. They had their own problems too. They were dealing with their own issues with sin. However, they turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They tried their best to give up that life of sin and to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave them. So what is stopping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from forgiving you? As I mentioned before, a lot of quotes and things I've seen inspired me to make this khutbah. So I wanted to share one poem that I read that was a big inspiration for this part of the khutbah. It reads, coming from the perspective of a man, that I was ashamed, and I told him being Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I was a sinner. And he replied, and I am the most forgiving. You can sin hundreds, thousands of times. You can sin your whole life with the examples that I mentioned before. You can commit some of the worst sins, but if you sincerely give that up and want to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will welcome you with open arms. He will accept you. He wants you to come back. All hearing and all knowing, which is my next point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees you struggle, and it is Him who will judge you. Because at the end of the day, someone can see you doing something wrong, and they can form their opinions about it, but they don't know what's going through your head. They don't know what you're feeling. They don't know what you're thinking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything in your head, everything that you're feeling, why you did what you did. He may see someone, the community may see someone who don't see that man goes home and prays, stands maybe hours for a night praying to him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees that and knows that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees and hears you every time you call to Him. He sees every tear that you shed for Him. He sees every time you call towards Him. When you say, Ya Allah, He responds. One beautiful thing that I read was that on your worst days, the worst days you may experience, when you feel like the world is crashing upon you, when you feel like God calls you Ya Abadi, which means my beloved servant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a tyrant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a dictator. He doesn't just expect from us and gives us nothing in return. He cares about each and every single one of us. He is there for us. We just don't see it. So it's time for us to see it and experience it. I want to move on to my final point right here. So I've been talking a lot about how we can improve our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by accepting Him more in our lives, being more aware that He knows the stuff that we're going through, He cares about us, and that He will forgive us. But the final point I want to drive here, deviating a little bit from the main points that I've been talking about, is that one of the best ways that we can sort of show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala our awareness of Him and experience the love that He has for us is by doing good to others. You see, worship, ibadah, is not just limited to salah. It's not just limited to prayer. It's not just limited to fasting. It's not just limited to reading the Quran. There are so many ways we can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's so easy. One of the easiest ways we can show our Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, experience His mercy, and gain so much ibadah is by doing good. Doing good, there's a lot of stuff in it. Donating, for example. If you have money, you're not using it, donate it. Someone might need it more than you do, and you're showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. A beautiful thing I heard once was that back in the golden days of Islam, there was so much that was so well that they were looking for people. They struggled to find people to donate to. Zakat. There was just so much abundance. There's just so much good going on. And it went to the point where they couldn't find anyone to donate to. So what they did was they fed the birds. And they said, may the birds experience Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. It's a really beautiful story. But when we donate and when we help others and when we feed others, we're showing, like I said, we are showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy to us all. We're showing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. Just as He fed us, just as He helped us, just as He cares about us, we show that by showing that to other people. And there's plenty of opportunities for this. In fact, just today I got the message that from this message there will be a pizza donation drive, so if you want to donate to that, please do. If you want to experience that, come and help physically go to Skid Row and be kind. Because there are people who need it, and wallahi, the rewards are just amazing. But even if you can't donate, let's say you don't have money to donate, you don't have the time to donate, you can teach other people. All of the stuff that I'm telling you right now has been taught to me by other people, and those people are gaining so much reward. by each and every single one of you guys hearing this. So if you have information that you can give, go ahead and spread that information. Teach people. Don't hold on to that. Because the rewards, wallahi, is immense. There's a concept called sadaqah jariyah, which is sadaqah that you can do once, sadaqah that you gain even when you pass away. This is by stuff that maybe you donated to something, and that thing grows and it helps people. And the people that it helps gives you sadaqah. You teach someone something. That information spreads and that knowledge is beneficial to so many people. You gain that knowledge. You gain those sadaqah. So, do whatever you can do to help benefit society, help benefit others, help others. Don't be stingy with that because wallahi, like I said, the rewards are immense. And lastly, my final point, I know I'm short on time. My final point is if you have nothing to teach, if you have nothing you can do, then the simplest thing you can just do is smile. Make someone feel happy. It is a common hadith in At-Tirmidhi where the Prophet Muhammad said, smiling in your brother's face is an act of charity. Because when you smile to someone, if you nod to someone, they feel happy about it. It makes them feel good, and that gives you reward. There was one other quote that I wanted to read before I end this, and that is from Imam Bahabi in one of his books, where he said the highest levels and ranks in Jannah are those for someone who cries at night and smiles during the day. And it goes back to a point that I previously said that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you're going through. But this is a beautiful example of that. There are so many people who are going through stuff daily and we don't know about it, but they smile and they make others feel better. And those are some of the best people that I know. I aspire to be like that myself. So, and those type of people, as mentioned in this, those people are guaranteed the highest levels of Jannah. So think about the stuff that I said. Try to better your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stop feeling this despair. Stop feeling this hurt. Stop feeling this, I'm not a good Muslim. You may make mistakes, that's fine. We all do. We're humans. Humans are naturally inclined to making mistakes. Don't let that stop you from being a better person, even if it's today, even if it's right now, even if it's in this exact second. Because wallahi, we don't know when we're going to go. We don't know if we are guaranteed the next second even. So it's important for us to live every moment as if it's our last. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of us and to grant us all to the highest levels of Jannah. Allah, I ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just the way into Jannatul Firdaus and to make the punishment of the grave easy on them. Allah, I ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to help guide people who are learning about Islam and bring them to the truth. And Allah, I ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to guide any new Muslims to the truth and make them more, make it easy for them. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد المرسلين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. أما بعد، فيا معشر المسلمين، اعلموا أن الله تعالى فصل لنا أصول الدين في كتابه المبين، وكمل لنا الفروع بلسان رسوله الصادق الأمين، واستنبط لنا الجزئيات منهما 4 من المجتهدين فتمامة رسوله، وما استخرج منهما بالفقه المتين، وما يرى فيكم غيرها بدعات مخترعات وهي من أعظم السيئات. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: ما أحدث قوم بدعة إلا رفع مثلها من السنة. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: أوصيكم بتقوى الله والسمع والطاعة وإن كان عبدا حبشيا، فإنه من يعش منكم فسيرى اختلافا كثيرا، فعليكم بسنتي وسنة الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين، تمسكوا بها وعضوا عليها بالنواجذ، وإياكم ومحدثات الأمور، فإن كل محدثة بدعة، كل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد الرجيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم، ونفعنا وإياكم منه بالآيات والذكر الحكيم، إنه تعالى جواد كريم قديم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم ورب حليم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له إرغاما لمن جحد به وكفر، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد الخلائق والبشر. اللهم سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد إمام الحرمين وصاحب الهجرتين وعلى آل محمد، فيا أيها الراجون منه الشفاعة صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد نور القلب وقرة العين وعلى آل محمد، فيا أيها المشتاقون إلى رؤيا جماله صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. خصوصا منهم ذي الأصل العريق أمير المؤمنين سيدنا أبي بكر الصديق رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى زاهد الأواب أمير المؤمنين سيدنا أبي حسن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى كامل الحياء والإيمان أمير المؤمنين سيدنا عثمان بن عفان رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى أسد الله الغالب أمير المؤمنين سيدنا علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى تمام العشرة المبشرة، وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين، واخذل الكفرة والمبتدعة والمشركين، وكن اللهم حافظهم وموئدهم وناصرهم يا رب العالمين ويا خير الناصرين. اللهم شتت شمل أعداء الدين ومزق جمعهم يا مبيد الظالمين. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، واجعل اللهم آمنة مطمئنة سائر بلاد المسلمين، واكتب اللهم الستر والسلامة والعافية علينا وعلى عبيدك الحجاج والغزاة والمسافرين في برك وبحرك من أمة محمد أجمعين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة من الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم وادعوه يستجيب لكم، ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها. كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل ادعوا الله أو ادعوا الرحمن أيما تدعوا فله الأسماء الحسنى. ولا تجهر بصلاتك ولا تخافت بها وابتغ بين ذلك سبيلا. وقل الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم احفظنا من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدنيا والآخرة. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. शाइस्ता जावेद बीमार हैं, उनकी सर्जरी होने वाली है, उनके लिए दुआ फरमाए। अल्लाह ताला उनकी सर्जरी को कामयाब फरमाए, उनको सेहत आफियत अता फरमाए। रब्बना तक़ब्बल मिन्ना इन्नका अंतस समीउल अलीम बिरहमतिका या अरहमर राहिमीन।
Thank you Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the khutbah. May Allah accept from Zoraiz Hashmi and Qari Abdul Majid. Brothers and sisters, we are reminding again the parking lot in front of us, which is belongs to a business called Flower Shop Plaza, Legiani Jewelers, and the Japanese shop actually. So it belongs to them. Please do not park your car over there. From now on, they will start towing our cars. So again, we request you please stop it. And from next week, they will make this action for the towing